Can only white people be systemically racist in Philly, would you say?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, no. I mean, well, yes. Yes, because of what I said earlier. Yes, only white people. Yep.
I feel like white people did kind of create racism, so. But I don't know if I could
Create racism just in the world?
Yeah.
You don't gotta be white, black, or like, anything. You could be purple when you could be racist.
What is going on, everyone? James Klug here. Over the last decade, the woke left has redefined the word racism such that only white people can be racist in America. So can only white people be racist? Today I'm in Philadelphia to find out. Let's go talk to some people. Huge shout out to our friends over at Allegiance Gold for sponsoring this video. Can only white people be racist?
Ooh. Oh dear God, that's that type of question?
I would say probably due to systematic reasons.
I want to say yes.
Yes.
No, but they primarily are.
Right, okay.
Nah, hell no.
No.
It's a very, very controversial question.
It's not that bad. You
Where
say
is
no.
this gonna go?
YouTube.com.
Holy
You can answer that one.
No.
No.
What do you think?
Anybody racist. And anybody could be racist. Racists don't have a color.
I feel like just about everybody could be racist.
Everyone's capable of being a jerk and discriminating based on race.
Yeah.
And everybody can be racist if they really want to.
When you think about what happened to our ancestors for 400 years, you could say yes.
I feel like black people only think because, what they went through and they call people and all that. Excuse my French. I'm black, so, But, like they feel like they the ones only entitled to racism.
You could say white people could only be racist, but then at the end of the day, when you go through some of the shit that you go through here with like everybody, it's just like everybody has a little bit of racism in them, not just white people.
I think that prejudice exists no matter what race you are, but when we're talking about racism, that's a white people thing.
Why do you say so?
Because white people are the problem.
I actually don't know my feelings on it because I feel like white people did kind of create racism, so. But I don't know if I could
Create racism just in the world?
Yeah.
There's not vitriol and hatred for like specific groups of people that are just perpetuated by white people, although I would say that white people are probably the main perpetuators of that.
Right. You think in the world, or you're just saying in the United States?
In the world and in the United States.
So why are white people the problem?
Because they just think they're better than everybody else. I don't know.
I don't think it's dependent on what your race is. I think some people weirdly can be racist against their own race.
I'm African American. African American is racist against their own African American people.
How do you see that in your view?
I don't like some African Americans.
I think it depends more on like who is directing the racism towards, who it's being directed towards.
Like Puerto Ricans and Mexicans or Chinese and Japanese.
There's Hispanic people and there's Asian people.
White race, there's black race, there's Hispanics, Chinese people, Cuban people,
Filipino, Arab.
And there's Indian people. White and black are not the only two races on this planet.
You don't gotta be white, black, or like, anything. You could be purple when you could be racist.
So obviously, white people can't only be racist because they're their own race, so you can obviously be racist towards them too.
It's cultured by environment.
Sure.
So if you look at children that grow up in diverse neighborhoods, they don't have an inherited sense of racism. It's something that's inbred and taught, so anybody can be taught to hate somebody.
I've been in places where I've seen Caucasian people get discriminated against right away. I've been in places
Asians, Hispanics?
all of these things. I've been in places where I've seen these things happen, but they had to learn this from somewhere.
You can mold children into whatever you want them to be.
Exactly.
White people have a systemic advantage over any other racial group, and so in that sense, white people are the only group capable of enacting racism.
It's had to all derive from something. It just wasn't something people were born with. It had to be learned. It had to be taught.
Where did you learn your definition of racism?
Sociology classes.
Yeah.
I majored in sociology in college. I just graduated.
Right. Do you mind if I ask you, could you define racism for me, or at least do your best?
Hating another person or a group of people based upon what they look like, what color their skin is, what part of the world they come from.
You have folks that do have power, privilege, things of that nature, and if they are able to kind of suppress anyone that doesn't have power due to discrimination of color and race, I think that's racism.
I was not prepared
No,
to
no,
be
it's okay.
quizzed
It's okay. Do
right
your best, do your
now.
best.
Discrimination against another.
Institutionalized racism.
Thinking you're better than anybody else because of the color of your skin or where you were born, or yeah.
If you're filled with hate and you're hating based on skin color, you're a racist.
I agree with that.
Fair enough.
You guys, let's take a few moments to talk about my good friends over at Allegiance Gold. Now, as we close in on the election, it's really no surprise that Donald Trump is gaining support among all Americans, especially the working class. While many Americans are struggling, the Biden administration continues to attempt to gaslight the American people, saying that the economy has never been better, and we all know that our country is facing challenges. Among those is inflation, rising debt, and rising uncertainty in the markets. There's a reason why so many of you guys watching have invested in gold, because it stands on its own as a beacon of stability, and also over the last 5 years it's almost doubled in value. Allegiance Gold has done things the right way from the beginning, so it's really no coincidence that they've earned the highest trust ratings in the precious metals industry. They have 5 stars with TrustLink and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. They can help protect your IRA or 401k with physical gold and silver, or if you prefer, you can have it delivered securely to your doorstep. And here's the best part, you guys. Right now, get up to $5,000 in free silver on a qualifying investment when you visit protectwithklug.com or call 866-335-KLUG. Make sure you are protecting your financial future today. Visit protectwithklug.com. That is protectwithklug.com or call 866-335-KLUG. I'll put a link down in the description below. Let's get back to this video.
So dictionary.com, the classic definition essentially that's been the definition for a while has just been, you know, the belief that one race is superior or inferior to another, and or discrimination based on race.
Okay.
So, is any race capable of that or no?
I think anyone's capable of feeling superior over others.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
I feel like every race is capable of it.
Now you mentioned power. Where did you get that definition from? Like, where did you learn that from?
So I think that, let's say my child, right? Does he have power over me in some sense? Can he stop me from getting a job or anything like that? I don't think he can.
I think historically speaking, it is unlikely that any other race other than white people are capable of actually oppressing others, thereby...
Because of the percentage of them. Is that what we're looking at?
It's a majority thing. It's also it's just a power thing. It's a wealth inequality thing. It's just the cards are stacked against other races from being able to do that.
Okay.
The global system of white supremacy has white people at the top and black people at the bottom.
Because white people have the power, have had the power in this country specifically.
Right.
And racism is different where you're talking about the United States racism versus in other countries. In other countries, it's mostly like colorism.
I think an important distinction to make is between racism and prejudice. Anyone is capable of prejudice, which is an action, but racism is systemic. Racism is people enacting power over other people.
You have folks that do have power, privilege, things of that nature, and if they are able to kind of suppress anyone that doesn't have power due to discrimination of color and race, I think that's racism.
I just feel that the word racism has lost its meaning, or has changed its meaning from when I was young, we were young.
In Philly, who can be racist here?
No one's allowed to be racist, in my opinion.
No. Can only white people be systemically racist in Philly, would you say?
Yeah. Well, I mean, no. I mean, well, yes. Yes, because of what I said earlier. Yes, only white people. Yep.
It's majority black population in Philly?
It is. Yep. Yes.
So still only white people can be racist in Philly, though?
Yeah, because again, it's not a majority, solely a majority issue. There's more black people here, but when you look at who the rich people are, when you look at who's in control of all the systems and everything, we do have a black mayor, the first black mayor in the history of this entire city, so it's like, doesn't look great, you know? Yeah.
Right. Philly, we have a black mayor. Does that make a difference there or no?
Representation is worthwhile to some degree, but having one black person at the top of a certain power. Also, well, Okay, let me step back because being the mayor doesn't actually mean that you have the most power in the city.
There's a, Hispanic police commissioner, so not white, I guess. Majority of city council's black. So who can be racist? Who is capable of being racist in Philly?
I think that it's hard because the institution of racism is also more complicated than who's doing it. So there are even people who, based on being around like white supremacist ideologies, enact harmful things against their own communities, even if they are a black leader or a Latino leader. So it's complicated because I still think at the end of the day it is.
You're thinking maybe they could espouse those ideologies potentially for I don't know who you're talking, maybe the police commissioner. I don't know if you would say that. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's what I'm just clarifying.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's possible for people to do things that are harmful to their own communities because of things they've been fed by like white supremacist narratives, which happen to like rule a dominant majority of like media.
Let's say there's a homeless person, right? The homeless person's white. A black man wearing a suit is walking by. The homeless man calls that black man, you know what, the N-word. He says that. Is that homeless man, that white homeless man, incapable of being racist because of his position, where maybe a more successful black man walking by isn't capable of racism?
And that's
in that situation.
Well, that's tricky, right? Because the history of, derogatory terms comes from a place where there were powerful individuals that again, kept people down. So using that, I don't even want to call it a word, but what the white person says to the black person is attached to a historical aspect. So even though currently the scenario isn't, homeless person is homeless, it's still attached.
Right.
The concept comes from a historical point where things were flipped.
Can black people be racist against white
It doesn't
people?
hold the same weight, so no, I wouldn't say. Not to the same degree at all by any means.
And why is that? Like if you're looking at, let's say, if there's a wealthy black family, a poor white family, can the wealthy black family be racist against that poor white family or no?
Well, that's different. Yeah, they can be classist.
Yeah. Well, no. What if the problem is not with their financial situation, but with their skin color?
Then that's prejudice, not racism.
So if somebody attacked my camerawoman because she was white, is that prejudice or is that racism?
It's still prejudice because
it could be racially motivated, but I wouldn't say. I think at the end of the day, it's still probably prejudice. Yeah.
Racism doesn't exist without race. If a black person were to beat up a white person in a predominantly black neighborhood and say, "F you, cracker," or whatever,
do they hold the power in that neighborhood?
Well, it doesn't matter because
they
they don't hold.
Over
They
you
don't
in that neighborhood right now.
But they don't hold the power overall.
Well, minorities, right? People who are not white can't be racist to themselves. I don't think it's possible for them to be racist towards white people.
It's a definitional thing because I think that black people can definitely be prejudiced. Anyone can be prejudiced. And that's my definition of prejudice versus racism. Studying sociology, it's very important to distinguish those two things.
Can they be racist? Can a Hispanic be racist towards a black person? Or
yes, because honestly, I'm of the impression that Hispanic people, majority of which are white, I myself am white, even though I am Hispanic. So people like me are definitely capable of racism, and I know a lot of Hispanic people who are racist.
You mentioned colonialism. Would that mean that the definition of racism would be much different than like places in China, or would it not? Asians, what do we do? What about that? What about if a black person doesn't like an Asian person or an Asian person doesn't like a black person based off skin color? Not racism?
Yeah, I that's a great point. I also know a lot of Asians who happen to be racist.
White supremacy is a global project. It's not just in the U.S. People in China, and you see it manifesting differently in places based on their different populations. So like, if there's a country with no white people, obviously racism is going to look different in that place than like in the U.S.
Is it possible there or no?
Yes, I think a lot of that has to do with supremacy in its own right because of the hegemony that exists in that part of the world, that they perceive themselves as white as well. But again, it's like
Or in closer proximity to whiteness.
Right.
You know, we look at the history of, let's say, African Americans. There's some horrific stuff there. There's also horrific things for all sorts of people all across the world, and even in the United States as well. But you're saying today, you see it as being everyone is capable of racism.
Everybody.
There was one group of people that basically taught everybody this thing. And
Who do you think that group of people was?
I want to say it started around the rise of the Roman Catholic Church around that time, around, you know, Greek Roman times, where they considered themselves superior and elite to everybody, and everybody else was beneath them, and maybe that's where it maybe started.
You don't think there was any racism before that? Thousands of years before that, or?
I don't know, maybe it wasn't racism, maybe it was classism, maybe it was something else, but it definitely wasn't racism, because all throughout time people have intermingled and traded with each other. There came a point where people turned into money. And once people turned into money, people had to justify them using these people for money. So that's where racism comes from.
The first people on this planet were black people, right, in Africa. And, you know, they built the pyramids, right? They built some of the greatest bits of civilization to ever be known, right? And as time went on, Eurocentricity became a more popular idea, and colonizers started to overtake the narrative and say, you know, like, oh, UFOs built the pyramid. And that's just one example of how we erase, like...
That seems like more of a silly conspiracy.
I also believe that racism is a generational curse. So sometimes with older generations, they just perpetuate the same type of curses for each generation. You have to break those cycles in order for your children to kind of look and see things through a different lens.
Who do you see as being the primary institution or group or whatever politicians group, you know, that is pushing divide in the country? You know, when it comes to, you see it a lot. Who do you see as pushing it?
The people. People divide themselves.
Politicians put us against each other. That's the reason why we're divided. It's all political. I mean, that can be in the workplace, wherever. It's political first. It starts there because they're supposed to set the tone. They don't set the tone. They continue to divide us.
I believe institutions they're racist towards everybody. It doesn't matter.
I see it. I see it. I work with the general public every day. Like I see the racism towards every race, not just towards black people, not towards white people, but towards every race.
I've got a few people today that are saying that only white people can be racist. In fact, a lot of white people are telling me only white people can be racist. Why?
Not true.
That's inaccurate.
I mean, if you're only saying like white people can be racist, bro, you don't have a brain.
They're just being extra, because that's really not the case.
The people that have told me that have largely been white that have told me that. Is that shocking to you?
Yeah. No, I think white people have done enough harm to other folks that, that they can have that opinion.
I don't know. Maybe they don't really understand what racism is.
They might be thinking only about slavery in the South, the way slavery was, and have no other thoughts about anything else.
I feel like it's just because of history. You know, they are kind of the face of it.
If you think one race like is kind of like just the main problem, bro, you really have to have a reality check. That's just that.
Everybody has their opinion about everything, especially nowadays, and all cultures have something to do with another culture. Always got something to say about it. I love them all. Hey, do you? That's how I look at life.
Think about my family. We accept anybody. Like we accept you based off, you know, how you are as a person.
You are, yeah.
We all can come together. We just have to want it. We're not putting in the work. That's the problem. And I said we. That's everybody. We're not putting in the work.
At the end of the day, you allow social media and all the extra bullshit to get up in your head and deter you from what you know to be right. You know what I'm saying? Like we're adults now. We know right from wrong. So at the end of the day, if you're going to get out here and treat somebody like a piece of shit because you feel down about yourself, that says everything they need to say about you. So at the end of the day, people are their own downfall. You got to get out of your own head and do the step work to become a better person.
So your initial answer was only white people can be racist. Have you shifted from that answer or no?
No.
For sure.
Pretty sure.
It's just a lot of racism everywhere. Like everybody should just cut the hate out and just love on each other. Like it's forces bigger than us already trying to kill all of us. Like put all the bullshit aside. What the color of the skin is. Love on everybody. We all got the same type of blood running through our skin. It's red.
Subscribe to his channel. I don't know what it is, but subscribe to it.
That's right.
What's your channel?
That's James Klug.
James Clone?
Yeah, James Clone.
James Clone, subscribe to his channel because he gave me a high five.
All right, everyone, that is it for today. So we had a lot of great conversations with people all over Philadelphia, and one thing stood out to me, the major difference between just average people on the streets and those that are seemingly ideologically captured through liberal indoctrination. Let me know what you guys thought down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit that like button, make sure to subscribe, and hit that bell notification button so you're notified next time I post, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Thank you for being here, Cotton. We appreciate your take.